Every SEC team has a pivotal matchup this season. Who is it for the Auburn Tigers? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War 4. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of every single day. Joining me as he does every week is my good friend Jacob Goins, the host of On the Line Sports Talk on ESPN 106.7. It's time to get going. We're getting to Goins.
Yeah.
Jacob, I want to talk schedule a little bit. We've been talking schedule a lot lately, but it's important that we get your take as well. Auburn has what I've been telling everybody 4 weeks is the easiest schedule that we've probably seen in the last 20 years. Now, easiest and easy are two different things.
Yes.
Easiest relative to their other schedules over the last 20 years, but not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly, there are some pitfalls on the schedule. Today, we want to talk about what the most important game of the year is for Auburn. I'll even give you two if you need it. But let's start in the first half of the schedule. When you're looking at that first schedule, you get kicked off at Baylor August 29th. You've got two non-conference games versus Ball State and South Alabama. And then you open up conference play, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia. Looking at that stretch, I'm hard-pressed to not believe that the most important game isn't going to be in that six-game stretch. Talk to me, man. What do you see when you look at the schedule?
Yeah, I see that the first six games are harder than the last six games. I think the beginning of the schedule is just brutal compared to the back half, because if Auburn is expected to be what we expect them to be, aka a really good football team, then we shouldn't have to worry about Missouri or Arkansas or Vanderbilt or any of those games. And then you have the Iron Bowl in Jordan-Hare here at Auburn, where you have to win a game like that this year. Hugh Freeze has to beat Georgia or Alabama this year. You can't go 0-3 against each one. You can't start your career at Auburn 0-6 against Georgia and Alabama. So while I do think those are important games, Auburn's got to get there first, Mike, and that includes that game against Baylor and Waco. That includes a road trip to Norman and to College Station. And so it's a popular pick, but I think I have to jump on the train. The most important game for Auburn this year is the Baylor game, which we're less than 100 days away from now, on a Friday night in Waco, Texas, where you take on a Baylor Bears team that's not as good as you. They're not as talented as you. They're not as well coached as you, but they are good enough to still beat you, Mike. And that's what scares me so much about this game, where the entire country is going to be watching. This isn't Saturday afternoon at 4:00 that nobody's going to tune into. This isn't Sunday or Monday, or however they do opening weekend now. This is Friday night, where everybody in America is going to be listening to high school football on the radio and watching college football on TV. And it's going to be Auburn and Baylor. And my whole narrative with this game, and why I think it's the most important, is you have the longest time to prepare for it. You had all spring, you have all summer, and you'll have all fall. There is no excuse, in my opinion, for Auburn to not be ready to go to play this game against Baylor. And I'm telling you, it will show me everything I need to know about the season upcoming. If Auburn goes in there and wins, okay, wins handily, awesome. Then we're on to something, and maybe this team is ready to compete. If you lose a close game, but it's competitive, you look good doing it, and Baylor just happens to get you at their place, okay, that's fine. I can live with that. But if you go in and get embarrassed, if you have no offensive rhythm, you're turning the football over, communication is off, and you get embarrassed on national television on a Friday night, oh my God, Mike, all hell's going to break loose, because the fan base is going to lose their mind, and so am I. There's no reason for you not to be ready for that game. And if you win, it propels you for many great things down the road. Split your games against Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and then boom, you're off into October and anything is possible. So Baylor's the most important game to me, and it may not be close.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. And I'm going to give a little bit of a different take than I did with my buddy Thrift. Look, all off season, you've been saying we've closed the talent gap. I've got my quarterback.
It's year three.
Year three. The years, if ready, if you don't come looking sharp, or if you get beat in this game, Baylor better have played the best game we've ever seen from the Baylor Bears in the history of football, and that includes when RG3 was there. They better resurrect RG3, Jacob, to beat you, because you are a better and more talented football team.
Yep.
You've got the better running backs. You've got the better wide receivers. You should have the better defense. There's no reason other than you just flat out get out coached by Baylor.
Yeah, which could happen. Could happen because you and I have had this conversation. What have we seen in the first 2 years from Hugh Freeze and the coaching staff, not named DJ Durkin, that gives you confidence going on the road and beating a good Baylor team? I haven't seen it yet. This is your opportunity to do that. And this would give Auburn fans confidence going into your couple of cupcake games. You do what you got to do. You work on things there. Then you get to go to Norman, where I've gotten some word from Jackson Arnold. He says he cannot wait to play Oklahoma, man. He is like itching inside to go play the Sooners. Then you play a Texas A&M team on the road. That's a toss-up because we don't know what they're going to be. Mike, if you could be 4-1 when Georgia comes to Jordan-Hare Stadium, you have a prime opportunity to get a big-time win. But if you're 2-3, then you're in big trouble. Then you're in big trouble. Or even 3-2 is not looking great, because then you'll probably lose that one. You're 500 through the first 6 games, and you may be talking about a new head coach on the Plains at that time.
Jacob, let me tell you how important this game is for Auburn. It's May, and there is a Baylor fan in the comments of every single video on YouTube telling us that Auburn is going to lose. I think it's like Y2K Sports and Life or something like that. But Buddy is just like, you guys are overlooking the Bears. The Bears we invented football. Texas is bigger. Blah.
Yeah. Well, look, I want Baylor. I want Baylor to be good, and I want that to be a good game. And then win or lose, Auburn fans need to be cheering for Baylor to go on and be a good team, to be competitive in the Big 12, to be flirting with a college football playoff, because that just builds Auburn's resume if we get to November and Auburn is in that conversation of the playoff as well. Yeah. You want Baylor to be good. You don't want this to be a 4-win Baylor team that Auburn struggles with on the road like you did against California or anything that. You know what I mean? You want Baylor to be good regardless.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, so many things that fans are going to tell from that Baylor game. I think this is a restless fan base. I think that with Freeze's recent comments in the media that were taken way out of context, by the way, about making a bowl game, I'm so glad that we did our interview with him, because he addressed that. He said certainly Auburn should be bowl eligible, but the goal is more.
Yeah.
Right. And the only reason he was using that bowl eligible measuring stick is because they missed a bowl game last year. That's it. It's the only reason he brought up being bowl eligible. So to get bowl eligible, it starts with beating Baylor. That first game of the season. Auburn should be able to start the season 3-0 and then get one of their first 2 SEC games to start their schedule 4-2. After that, you talked about it. You've got a very winnable 5-game stretch after Georgia that starts with Missouri and ends with Mercer. You've got Arkansas, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt sandwiched in between there. And I love the schedule for Hugh Freeze in year 3. I think that it's a gift for him, given how the first 2 years went. But certainly there's a sense of urgency around getting the season started off fast, showing fans that you fixed the things that needed fixing in the offseason, which, quite honestly, is the passing game. Is Jackson Arnold the guy? Did you pick right at quarterback? And can you get the ball to all these wide receivers?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the answer, or that's the question that we need the answer to. Is you feel that the running back room is going to be good enough? We've talked about that on this show, and the receivers are going to be some of the best in the SEC. We feel the offensive line is going to improve, and the defense is going to be solid because DJ Durkin's still running things on that side. So, yeah, the question is not just did Hugh Freeze pick the right quarterback. did Auburn pick the right quarterback? I mean, we've been searching for a quarterback, a consistent one, since Bo Nix left. And even before that, we were looking for somebody consistently. And so can it be Jackson Arnold? We're going to find out, and no better way to get that answer than on the road at Waco, Texas, come that Friday night, August 29th.
Yeah, look, speaking of quarterback, in our conversation with Hugh Freeze, I mentioned, look, in the history of Auburn, in the recent history of Auburn, when they've been able to establish a solid starting quarterback, they've been in the conversation for championships. Jason Campbell, Cam Newton, obviously won a Heisman, took him wire to wire. Nick Marshall, Jarrett Stidham. Bo had the talent. We didn't see him do it here at Auburn. But certainly Auburn has a history of taking really good quarterbacks and going really far with them. Look, if they lose their most important game of the season, how are they going to go down? We're going to take Auburn fans to hell and back in our second half, right after our quick word from our sponsors, our friends at the Vibe Vault. Guys, if you're in the Phoenix City, Columbus area, and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, and visit the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite I in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants, helping keep you fresh. Please go see my guy, Steve Watkins. Also, our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code RAPPORT for 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Lots of great products there. They got scented candles there, Jacob. Something special. The scented candles, they help you sleep as well, too. The Rogue Shop, let them know that we sent you. My guy Richard dropping something special in there for everybody using code RAPPORT. And our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights, and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Spring is here. Summer is on the way. You want to be outside making memories with your family around the grill, or just staying in shape. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. If Auburn loses to Baylor, what's most likely to do them in? I'm going to lead with this one. I think it's quite honestly Auburn's biggest unknown going into the season, and it's the thing that is definitely most likely to take them down is play calling. I think that we need some continuity, or we need to see some continuity around play calling. Hugh Freeze has said multiple times, Jacob, that I call some plays, Derek Nix calls some plays, this person, Ken Austin, calls some plays. I'm not buying it. I think he calls all the plays personally.
Yeah. At least he has the override switch.
I think he calls all the plays in the critical situations. And they've got to show that they can game plan better than what we've seen. Now, you need players to be able to execute, certainly. And that's not lost on me. And he's pointed to that at times. But one of the most important things I think came from my sit-down interview with him, Jacob, was that missing a bowl game was not about talent. It was about coaching, and that's about play calling to me when we're talking coaching. I'm not sure that they put them in the best situations to win last year. And before I hand it off to you, I'll give you this. That 4th and 1 and 2 versus Georgia is the perfect example of what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's the beginning of the fourth quarter. You've got a critical 4th down, and your quarterback and your coach are nowhere in the same universe about what's supposed to be happening. That can't happen this year. And you're going to be on the road in Baylor. Like, look, I want Baylor to have a good season because Auburn is playing them. But I had no love for Baylor, man. I can root for Baylor women's basketball since my good friend Johnny Harris is coaching out there now. But, the rest of them, Auburn is better than Baylor in every way that matters, except for, I'm not sure, coaching.
Yeah, and that's the major question going into the season, other than is the quarterback position going to work out and things like that. But all of those branches of questions, right? The offensive execution and turning the ball over and the quarterback and the play call, that all goes to coaching. It all comes back to the root of coaching this team. And I'm glad, because in your interview and in several others, I've heard Hugh Freeze admit that it was not good last year, that they were not where they needed to be, and coaching let this team down. But man, you can only say it for so long before you truly look in the mirror and accept it and make a change to make it better. And that's where we are with Hugh Freeze and his staff. I don't put it all on him, but he gets all the flack because that's what the head coach is there, right? That's why they get paid the big money, and that's why they sit behind the microphone. But it is up to him to put, you said it, to put his team in the best position to win football games. They did not do that last year against California. They didn't do it against Oklahoma. They didn't do it against Georgia. They didn't do it against Vanderbilt. Like, there were so many situations and different play calling ideas and just situational awareness where it's like, man, how did you not see this? Or how did you not go here? Or why did you do that? And not, you know what I mean? Like, in hindsight's 2020, I get it, but you have to be better. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. As simple as that. You have to be better at coaching this football team. You can't take a day off. There's no easy days. There's no relaxing. There's no giving in or anything like that. You have to be ready to go. And it starts week 1 against Baylor, because if you lose that game, it's an uphill battle the rest of the way. Yeah, you're going to come home and you're probably going to beat 2 cupcake games on your schedule. Okay, cool. That I hate that. It doesn't benefit you at all. But what confidence will you have going into Oklahoma? Because remember last year, Auburn beat whoever it was 73-3 or whatever. We were like, oh, the offense is fixed. Everything is fine. Everything's going to be okay. And then Auburn lost, right? So those games they don't do me anything, and you won't have any confidence going on the road to Oklahoma if you couldn't beat Baylor, because Oklahoma is going to be a much better team than Baylor is this year. Oklahoma's a dark horse in the conference. Watch out for them. So you have that game. Then you go on the road to Texas A&M. I don't know what the heck they're going to be. And then you have Georgia at home. And it's like, man, the Baylor game is your litmus test. It's your litmus test. If you can't beat Baylor, you won't beat Oklahoma. You won't beat Texas A&M, and you won't beat Georgia. And you'll be 2-4, and it's going to be a disaster.
That seat is going to be really, really hot. I think. I think the worst case scenario for Auburn coming out of the first 6 games has to be 3-3. I'm telling you, the margin for error for this coach this season on the schedule is so razor sharp.
Yep,
it's 1 game. I'm telling you. At 8 games, I think he clearly keeps his job. At 7 games, I just don't think you can take firing off the board.
Yeah.
And I know there are a lot of Freeze fans that don't want to hear that. I established that in my interview with him and saying, look, at 7 wins, coach, you probably lost the game that you weren't supposed to lose. Because he started to go down the road of, well, how do we lose those 7? I don't want to hear all that. Dude, if you only win 7, you probably lost a game that you weren't supposed to lose. And at 8 games, you probably won a game that nobody thought you were going to win. Before we get out of here, I want to take a look at this schedule one time, because there's an aspect of this that I want to talk about with you. For our listeners on YouTube, the games in orange are away games, and the games in blue are home games. If you're Auburn, you don't play a meaningful home game until October 11th when Georgia comes to town. Ball State and South Alabama, as you mentioned, that's not going to be a litmus test for anything.
No.
With as talented as this team is, they can beat those teams by 200 points. And I'm not going to take anything away from that other than that's what you were supposed to do.
Right. Get out of those games healthy.
Yeah, you have much more talent than those teams. But you've got 3 road games here to show us what you're made of. Just get one of them. Now, if you do lose to Baylor, you might have to clean that. You might need to go 2-1 in that opening SEC stretch that starts at Oklahoma and ends at Georgia. So that's how I'm seeing the schedule. Can they get some combination of Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia in a 2-1? We win 2, we lose 1. That's going to be tough. I think that Oklahoma is probably their best chance at a win there. But what do you see in that opening SEC stretch in terms of what Auburn is going to be able to do? This won't be the same Georgia team. They've got 5 stars everywhere, but they're usually well coached, and they'll come to Jordan-Hare prepared. And look, there's an air about that game that I'm not sure Auburn is ready to overcome. in that they've just been getting their ass kicked year after year from Georgia. I just don't know what it is. As a matter of fact, I think Auburn fans fear that game more than they do Bama by a long shot.
And I think you should
beat Bama, right? Yeah. These Georgia games have been like competitive for a little, but they haven't really been close at the end. You know, what do you see in those first 3 games opening the SEC?
Yeah, and so much of this, and I hate to be this way, but so much of it does truly depend on how you play against Baylor, how you look against Baylor, and then ultimately the result against Baylor. But if we're just looking at those 3 games in a vacuum, right, of Oklahoma on the road, Texas A&M on the road, and Georgia at home, the idea is to get one. Get one of those and you'll be okay, because any of those would be a quality win, right? A win on the road at Oklahoma or Texas A&M, I think that's a good win. I think Oklahoma's a dark horse team in the SEC. I think A&M's at least an 8-win team, and Georgia's going to make it to the college football playoff. So any of those wins, Mike, would be good enough to build a resume, be competitive in the other 2. Then you're going to fall back in the shadows. Nobody's going to talk about Auburn, but then you just start to stack wins. And we say that like it's just a given. Auburn didn't beat Vanderbilt last year. Auburn had to use a historical game from Jarquez Hunter to beat Kentucky last year. And Missouri, that game has been stupid the last few years as well. Like, those are not gimmies, but they need to become gimmies. So you start stacking wins against those types of teams. I'm not worried about Arkansas or anything like that, Mercer as well. Then everything is up for grabs when Alabama comes to town, because you win your 2 cupcakes, you win one of those 3 games to start, and then you beat, how many more games is that after that? That'd be 5 games right after that stretch where you'd have Missouri, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Mercer. You win those games on top of the 3 that you've already won. You're an 8-win team when Alabama walks into Jordan-Hare Stadium. Talk about an opportunity for year 3 to finally get over that hump, to get your 9th win of the year against Alabama. You'd be considered one of the hottest teams in college football. Boom,
South Carolina was last year.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You'd be a dark horse playoff team. I'm not saying you would get there, but you'd at least be in the conversation. They would at least have to ask, hey, what about Auburn? Does Auburn belong in there? That's where you want to be in year 3 under Hugh Freeze.
I think the precedent was set last year for the playoff. I think 10 wins get you in. It's a 16-team SEC. And with the elimination of divisions, we're getting this rotation of schedules, Jacob, where Auburn has a chance to see a schedule like this. In the divisional era, Auburn had no chance to see a schedule like this with Vandy and Kentucky and
Missouri.
Arkansas and Missouri in the same stretch. No way. And this is no disrespect to Missouri, but disrespect to Missouri, man. Like, they're Missouri.
You got to beat them.
Yeah, Eli Drinkwitz does a good job developing, but he's not brought in the talent that Hugh Freeze has brought in his first 2 years at Auburn. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I'll be there in the press box alongside you every home game this season talking about it. My good friend Jacob Goins, before we get out of here, man, as always, tell people where they can find you.
Yep, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4, ESPN 106.7 if you're in the Auburn Opelika area, or ESPNAU.com. Christian Griffin and I, we go live each and every day, 2 to 4 for On the Line. Check it out.
Guys, if you're watching this on replay on YouTube, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button in the comments. We appreciate all our listeners for helping keep the work that we're doing here going. That's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. Signing off, and as always, War Eagle.